All right, I wanted to comment on Mark Carney's appointment of former Mayor Gregor Robertson as Canada's housing minister here. This is an interview I did with True North Media. Critics fear Carney's housing minister will nationalize Vancouver's housing crisis. Prime Minister Mark Carney's appointment of former Mayor Gregor Robertson as Canada's new housing minister has sparked fears that he may implement the same disastrous housing policies nationally that contributed to Vancouver's affordability crisis. Vancouver realtor Jay Coupar called Robertson in an interview with True North a complete failure on all fronts as mayor. Now, listen, I have nothing personal against the guy, but he made all kinds of promises he couldn't deliver on, solving homelessness, solving housing. When I first saw that he was appointed, I thought it was a joke. He's probably the worst mayor, second only to Kennedy Stewart, a complete abysmal failure on all fronts. This guy was brutal, guys. During his reign as Vancouver mayor from 2008 to 2018, Vancouver became one of the worst, most unaffordable markets in the world. Home prices went from $484,000 to $1,042,000. That's a 115% increase in prices. This is the guy that Carney thinks is going to solve the housing situation in Canada. So I say here, this is the guy who pushed purpose-built rentals instead of homeownership. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's the same thing David Eby and the NDP are doing today. They're waving the white flag on ownership and promoting rentals, which you guys know where I stand on this. Renting short-term is fine. You're going to university. You're thinking you might get a job transfer. That's fine. But anything long-term, I'm going to say over 4 or 5 years, it is financial suicide to rent in a city like Vancouver. You could apply this to any international city. I said here that I would like to be Gregor Robertson's landlord for a few years and see how he likes it. So me being a bit cheeky there. Robertson campaigned on ending homelessness. Of course, the population went from 1,576 in 2008 to 2,181 in 2018. It's probably a lot higher now. Another concern of Cooper's was Robertson's heavy reliance on the use of modular homes as mayor, which he views as a Band-Aid solution. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. If you live next to one of these temporary modular housing complexes, my understanding is they've become a flashpoint for crime, street disorder, ambulances, fire trucks, police. It's been a complete nightmare here. They want to get the government into the business of housing, but they don't have a good track record. Yeah, they don't. This is why we have a free market, guys. This is why we have developers. They're much more efficient at allocating capital. There's certain things the government does well. There are other things that are best left to the private sector. Housing is one of those things. According to Coupar, the government is continuing to push rentals over ownership, and the market has now pivoted towards that, which is coming at the expense of stratified condos. So you see that if you drive around Vancouver and look at all these development applications, they're pretty well all for purpose-built rental with a 20% social housing component. I don't know how people are going to get around either, because a lot of these new buildings might have 200 or 300 bike lockers, but zero parking. So I don't know if this has been thought through. Is everybody going to ride their bikes to work? We do live in a rainforest here in Vancouver, so I don't know how this is all going to work, but it's coming at the expense of these stratified condos. And if you look at the downtown skyline, I don't see any cranes anymore. There's just a few buildings, like super luxury buildings like the Kengo Kuma, the Butterfly building, and those are capping off here, but there's really nothing else in the pipeline here in terms of stratified condos in downtown and surrounding neighborhoods. And there's going to be repercussions to that. I said they really want developers to build rentals. Not much being built. That's going to put pressure on the existing inventory, and that is going to drive up prices, guys. It's just basic supply and demand. Since the Liberals formed government in 2015, the average home price was $448,000. That rose to $718,000. Of course, Vancouver and Toronto have seen much higher price growth than that. So Robertson was put in between a bit of a rock and a hard place here. He's walking a bit of a tightrope. He told reporters he didn't think house prices need to come down, but the government needs to deliver more supply and make sure the market's stable. Yeah, you know, he wants to reshape the future of home building in Canada with prefabricated, again, modular homes. Let me know what you guys think of this. Carney has allocated $25 billion to these projects. So I say here, the reality is they're afraid to bring prices down because they don't want to upset homeowners, but they also don't want to lose renters. So again, they're walking a bit of a tightrope now. They don't want to anger the existing homeowners, but a lot of their voters, the Liberal and NDP, their voters in large part are going to be renters. So they're trying to appease both groups here. They talk about stabilizing the market, building affordable rentals, but it's a pipe dream, guys. The government can't do it alone. You need the free market. I said here, they're killing condo supply. Prices are probably going to explode. And I think they will. Might not be for 6 months, a year, 2 years. But again, supply and demand, if we're not building any condos, that's going to put pressure on the existing inventory. Modular homes have faced major scrutiny for their difficulty to ensure, lack of insulation in winter months, and the fact that lenders don't want to finance these properties because of their rapidly depreciating value. So if the Royal Bank, TD, Scotiabank, if they don't want to finance these properties, what does that tell you? There's also speculation that the push for modular homes would benefit Carney's former company, Brookfield Asset Management, which purchased a modular home company for $5 billion in 2021. So this is a huge conflict of interest, guys. He's going to award contracts to all his insiders, all his buddies. This is typical socialism. Capitalism for me and my insiders, socialism for everyone else. We're going to be living in our own homes and everybody else is going to be renting in these glorified shipping containers. That's basically the plan here. So I end on Canadians should be owning real estate, not stuck paying someone else's mortgage. Gregor failed Vancouver. Now he gets to fail all of Canada. So pretty scathing report there. But I stand by it. I think Canadians should strive to own their homes. It's really the only break that we get in Canada. This is going to be a nightmare, guys. This is going to be another bureaucracy, waste of taxpayers' money. The government can't do this. You know, you need to somehow galvanize the free market enterprise system to build the millions of homes that we need in Canada. You need to actually be getting government out of the way. Government has no business. They should not be getting in the business of housing, guys. Trust me on this. I'm Jay Coupar. Feel free to comment below or subscribe. See you in the next video.